Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We are in week three, almost near to closing the series, I guess, next week, last one. All right. Again, for those joining for the very first time, my name is Kiran Pendem. I am into product operations, and I've designed this a beginner series so that people will feel comfortable trying agentic workflows even if they have never worked on workflows before or are not very technical. This series is basically using a no code tool so that everyone can access the resources and try whatever is possible at their end. So last week I had a session on NI10, like just how to get started. And I'm not sure how many of you actually had a chance to register. But if any of you are willing to share anything, I want to hear. Anyone? At least registered and tried some template?
Hi, Kiran. This is Pooja here.
Yeah.
Yes, the previous session was very useful indeed. So it gave me a quick overview of where to get started. So I did register to N8N and I've started working on a workflow, a very basic one, just to get my hands dirty and get a feeler of it.
Okay.
So my at least my I'm hoping to complete a workflow by next week, which would scrape through the internet and give me job openings in the last 24 hours, because I'm in that loop of looking for options, and that would be very useful because I find it very difficult right now to go into multiple sites and browse through, and it's time consuming. So my aim is to build a workflow to help my job search. So I've just started doing it. I've just started doing options. I mean, just figuring. I just started yesterday, to be honest. So I'm hoping I'll have some progress by next session and come back to you with problems or issues faced. But it was very helpful. It gave me an overview of how to choose models and how to be mindful of tokens. I'm kind of trying and paying attention to all those aspects which I never did in the past. So I'm more mindful of these elements, I'd say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your feedback. And I think even if it is just a few people who got a chance to try, I feel that is still a success for me because the aim for me is to actually get you on board with this. And I mean, if you just follow the N8 resources to begin with, I think you're still good because they have tons of templates available and also lots of videos. Their community also provides tons of resources, like you can actually go through some of the best things out there. So if you actually started, I think that's best thing you've done. I am glad. And I think last week we did AI agent. Today we will be focusing a bit on agentic workflow. How is it different? That is the agenda for this session. So I'll go ahead and again, I have experience like for past 20 years. I've worked in product based companies, and I worked in workflows before. They were traditional, but I'm excited the possibility of making them agentic, and with the AI agents so many things are possible. There's huge potential. So I just started with N8N and learned some things by myself, and I just wanted to share those learnings with you. Currently, I'm trying to leverage some of these on product operations. And I also founded this Kaleido Club where I provide hands on workshops so others can leverage AI. Again, N8N we are using for these sessions. It's not AI native platform, but we can design agentic AI workflows. That's why it's simple, accessible. That's why I'm using N8N. Today's agenda is to understand how to design agentic behavior in workflows, because workflows are not a new concept. They have been there for a long time, especially in automation. And if any of you have done, even if it is a small automation, you know that it's like you are taking some small steps to achieve some task, to finish some task. And now we are kind of giving some autonomous behavior to the machines, I mean to the logic, so they can make their own decisions. So there is some agentic behavior we are actually taking from AI agents, the capabilities that we got because of the LLMs and the tool integration. So we are going to see how we can design more powerful behavior, agentic behavior in the workflows. And we'll also explore MCP, it stands for Model Context Protocol. I hope most of you heard about it, but we will explore that today. And finally, we'll also orchestrate a simple agentic workflow using the MCP nodes in N8N. That's the agenda for today. Like I said, we most of us are aware of traditional workflows. Basically, it's like some logic we that is based on some rules, and there are some fixed steps. Let's suppose I have to send an email to some of you, then I would actually check if I have your email address and if I have the mail content and if I can actually send it to you. These are different steps that I follow, and this like I can actually automate it. But the traditional workflows are something that are not adaptable. Once I define it, it just follows those steps, and we don't have that much of context or memory related concerns in the traditional workflows. Once we define these workflows, you execute n number of times, they will be repeating the behavior the same way. I mean, there is no difference in behavior the when you execute it multiple times. And there is a rigid logic and deterministic execution. You will know that if I send this input, this is my output. There is no way that it will deviate unless some other, maybe you have some blind spots and something went wrong. Yeah, otherwise, we know that the execution is very deterministic. And we never had these we have ever had this agentic nodes. I mean, these AI agents have only started evolving recently over the past couple years. Now we are actually trying to leverage them in our workflows so that we can design some agentic behavior. What is that behavior? Basically, it's goal driven. It's not like you want to accomplish task. Of course, we will be accomplishing tasks, but basically we have some goals to achieve, and to reach that goal, the workflows can adapt their steps, like how they execute the things based on the goal. Like if they're not achieving the goal, maybe they will adapt. And they have this memory called context aware memory. From the past executions, it can collect a lot of memory, and especially if you consider chat gpt, when you're kind of opening a new chat, you're providing some inputs, getting some answers, it remembers everything and it gets like a bit personalized, and the response will be based on what all conversations you had, that is like context. So this is something agentic again, and adaptable with reasoning loops. Basically, I mean, from the past conversations, like it is remembering something, and it actually reasons as well. Like when you are asking some new question, it reasons like why you are asking and gives you a different response. It's not like when I ask something, the response is same for me and you if you are asking the same question. Especially if we have built already some kind of conversation with the agent, the response would be completely different. I mean, it's applying some reasoning in answering those questions. All this behavior is because of these agentic nodes. And last week we covered the AI agent capabilities. Basically, it can plan, reason, act, achieve goal. Why? Because of the LLMs or the models for reasoning, planning, and we can integrate with external third party tools. I mean, it's not just limited to your own company APIs, but you can call lot of third party APIs, integrate with other maybe using function calls as well. That's possible through tools. And there is this concept of short term and a long term memory. These were the capabilities that we explored. And in the last session, we actually, in NI10, we opened an AI agent node and actually connected all these things to see how it works. Today, what we are going to do is expand on top of that AI agent. Basically, last week we did Google Calendar and Gmail related queries. If I asked a query on Gmail, the tool agent actually answered me after checking the Google Mail tool. But if I had a query on invites, it actually picked up the tool for Google Calendar and it answered me. Now, um, agents tools agent tool in an I10, it could solve it. If you have a handful of tools, I think with nice prompting, good prompting, you can manage. But here is the thing, you might be having tons of tools. And when you start integrating a lot of tools into your AI agent, it can get complicated and the model might not be able to figure out easily. Even if the prompt is sophisticated, if the tools are too many, I think it will start like becoming overwhelming to choose which tool. And also, like if you have to do multiple tools, like select multiple tools, it can become challenging. So there is this architecture called model context protocol architecture, where you kind of, if you see this, there is an MCP client and MCP server trigger. These couple of nodes, these are actually provided in N8N. And in AI native platforms, I don't think you would be having separate nodes like this, but at least in 8N, N8N, you would be having these two nodes where the client, it will collect what is the request being sent from the user, and it will send the tool request to the server, and we are connecting all different tools to the server will decide how and what tool to call, process that, give the response back to the MCP client, and the agent will look at the response, it will do its own reasoning, and if needed it will call back again. So this is beyond just a tools agent capability of calling one or two tools and executing only one tool at a time. You can actually have multi-step reasoning and multiple actions taken when you are actually going for MCP client server architecture. So we are building on top of normal AI agent node. Like I said, in N8N, we have MCP client node. It sends commands to the server for invoking the tools. And we have server node, which actually executes the tools, the right tool it picks up and returns the results back to the client. This is how the communication happens between the two. And last week we did the tools agent. Today we are doing MCP client server. It is the AI agent connected, only one AI agent connected. And this is a brief comparison of what is tools agent and the MCP architecture. Basically, if you have multiple tool execution, you can't go with the tools agent. I mean, it's not good at picking up one after the other sequential, but MCP can do that. Dynamic tool selection. Basically, with the prompts, you are able to pick the tool, but with MCP, it is reasoning itself, like which tool to pick, and it is flexible in picking a different tool in each execution. Output reflection, again, we need to kind of have some manual kind of workaround in tools agent, but you can actually reflect on the responses in the MCP client server. Simplicity, I think tools agent, handful of tools, it's easy to build, nothing complicated. I don't say that MCP's client server is also complicated, but a little advanced compared to tools agent. And the expressiveness is very high in client server mode. And actually, MCP is one of the architectures how you can design. Like I'm going to demonstrate that once we get into the NET and template and work on the workflow. There are other architectures as well. Briefly touching on them, these will be something like maybe in the intermediate level, you could dive deep into each of these architectures. But for awareness sake, I'd like to just let you know. Reflexive agent loop. Basically, it can self-correct. Like, I mean, when an agent is performing something and something went wrong, it could self-correct. I mean, you are actually putting some logic in there so that it can self correct. Anything we say that the agent can do this, it doesn't do it by itself. At least in non native AI platforms, it's not like by default. You kind of design that thing, but the architecture is something that you are using to design it that way. So multi-agent collaboration is like every agent would be specializing in something. Let's suppose a travel booking. I mean, you would have to plan your travel, and then once you plan something, you actually make a ticket booking, and after the ticket is booked, you do something post planning. So there are different steps, and for each step you would have a specialized agent doing a particular task, and that is like you're collaborating between multiple agents. It's multi-agent collaboration. Event driven autonomous agent is like sometimes there are real time events, like maybe in the just a small example, the Gmail, like when someone sends you an email, like there is an event generated email received, and then you kick off the workflow, trigger it. So these are like triggering the workflows, event driven agents. Tool selection agent, I think last week what we covered comes under this. Basically, you can pick between different tools and execute the agents. Human in the loop is very high risk workflows like related to compliance or very decision sensitive actions. You would want some human to review or approve some things. Then you would design the agentic workflow using human in the loop. Knowledge retrieval. Sometimes you might be using some internal company domain knowledge or some other knowledge base, and you want to make sure that the models are not hallucinating and you're grounding the information. So, for that, you would use knowledge retrieval agents. Finally, the workflow memory. Basically, the memory we are managing through persistence, like so far we haven't touched anything on persisting the data in database or something like that. But if in the long run, if you want to persist, I mean, you will have to handle that memory related stuff. So that is again by design. So these are different architectures you could consider when designing your workflows, and you can dive in deep as you feel comfortable as the need arises. Finally, the roadmap for developing skills to building these agentic workflows. Again, wherever you're beginning, right now you're using no code tool. Just understand basic prompting, how you're invoking the tools, which models you're using, and how you're managing the memory, and also how you're designing the whole agentic workflow. So prompt engineering, and thought structuring, tool orchestration and API fluency, state management, memory modeling, agent loop design, feedback control. These are like a very top level skills. I think at each stage, wherever you are, like beginner, intermediate, and advanced, you need to kind of develop wherever you feel that there are some gaps. You just kind of like assess yourself, and whenever you think that you're progressing ahead, check where you are and dive deep into each of these skills. This is a bit heavy on text, but I still wanted to have it because at each stage, the way we work with these AI agents is going to be different. At a beginner level, we are just doing some basic prompting, no coding, and we are not heavily into memory management. And I think we used one AI agent. Now NCP we have started, but going forward, like you can advance further in improving all these to the next level. That's the roadmap. And finally, intentional mastery. In the past two sessions, I've talked about intentional learning, intentional building. Today, I'm talking about intentional mastery because there is a huge misconception that everyone can do everything. I think this is something that we need to sort out. And I think we play a big role in defining how things will be in the future, like how we work with each other as humans. The roles would be kind of changing, but still, the way we collaborate, it's not like everyone will have a big idea they can work by themselves. I think we still will have big companies where we will be working together as teams, even though the teams could be lean, but we would be using our AI tools to kind of be more productive and efficient. But there will be some people who are specialized maybe in prompt engineering or like in code, like not everyone will be comfortable doing coding. So I don't think you would want to master coding, but if you are aware of the basic stuff and someone else is doing it, if you're collaborating with such people, it becomes easy for you to do teamwork in that way. So if you need to master something, be intentional about it. It's not like everyone can learn everything, and it's just play by your strengths. That's my 2 cents advice. All right, that is it for the small like agenda, and I will go into the demo now. If you have any questions on the slides, I can take a couple of questions, and maybe if we have time again at the end, I can take more questions. So yeah, I'll just give you a couple of minutes. If you have any little like if you need any clarity on anything, let me know.
Hey,
Yeah, Shivi.
Kiran, this
Hi.
is Shavi. Hey, this is a really, really great framework that you just showed. If you can go back to the previous slide, the one that you showed a different
This one?
skill level, actually,
Yeah.
the 12. Um, how do you suggest people to get started with like moving across the board skills and then moving from beginner to intermediate to advanced? Like how should someone think about it?
Yeah, so I think in the beginner level, the no-code tool, especially N8N, it is perfect for beginning because it gives some visual, like, I don't know, there is a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you're seeing something like visually, like in N8N, you can have some sticky notes for conveying what it is doing. And even if the notes are doing something inside, there is a way to understand to like how the flow is happening, like be it data flow or logic flow. It is like understandable, like you can collaborate with others. But as you move into intermediate level, I think you could start trying with notebooks, or if in your company you use Amazon Bedrocks or Google or other Crew AI, they are kind of advanced and they are like code intensive. So before you actually get comfortable with coding at the beginner level, pick with something very high level. These days, there are some tools like Toolhouse. I heard about it recently, where you can actually give a prompt. Just consider Lovable. When you're giving a prompt to Lovable, it is designing you a website. Now, there is a tool called Toolhouse, and there are other tools coming as well where you prompt. to design an agent. Behind the scenes, it is creating an agent. Like in N8N, you are kind of bringing the nodes, wiring them with tools and designing them. But if you are giving the prompt and at abstract level, it is doing something behind the scenes. It's difficult to understand what exactly is it doing. It's important to understand like how it works. So I think at beginner level, this no code tool is great. Once you are comfortable with the coding, I would say try notebooks or I don't know, Amazon Bedrocks. They are also a bit complex, but they have some tutorials like free resources to get started. So just how you started with this, you go with the free resources for enterprise level tools and start experimenting. Go through their videos and learn like how their agents are built. And if you are still like keen to become more advanced, again, I think there are some tutorials which are paid. Yeah, this is like that's when you can think whether you want to invest your money in these tools or not and go further. Prompting, I think you can check like basic prompt. Some examples, I think in the internet there are a lot of resources for prompts as well. You can check like maybe some chain of thought or reason and act techniques. What are the prompts available? You can check for some examples. And yeah, like based on these skills you can do your research and check like the high advanced tools how they're doing it, refer to them. So but you should feel comfortable when you are jumping into the next level. That's my advice. Does that
Got it.
make
Thank you.
sense? Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. I think I'll go into N8N now. Let's go to. All right. I want to just touch base on the last week thing that we covered. Basically, we did this AI agent where we kind of just attach some memory and we just like attach some tool. This is what we did last week. Now I'm going to kind of move ahead. I mean, this was what we did last week. Today I'm going to pick up a different example, especially with MCP. But before that, let's go back to templates. I'm going here because I want you to try these templates first because almost 3,000 templates are here. There is absolutely no need to start from scratch or a blank page because people have already like invested their own time and effort in coming up with some best practices, and it's good to learn on top of it. It's like not reinventing the wheel. So that's why I kind of like suggest you like these are automation templates, but still like there are some agentic things as well. Let me see if I can find something MCP related. um, yeah, you see these are all free, and I want to just explain one more thing that you can use these for free. Some are charged, but you can pick the ones that are free. And if you see that they actually provide information like learn to build MCP server client. And they have some sticky notes explaining like what to do, activate the workflow to make trigger work, Google Calendar tools require credentials. So if someone wants to pick up someone else's workflow, they can import the JSON, but it's again like not as easy as explaining it, I mean, in person. But documentation like this can be hugely beneficial. So that's why I'm kind of referring to the templates as well. I mean, I could have come up with my own workflow, but it's going to take time to actually document this whole thing. It's not like it's completely automated. I mean, this is something coming from our brain, like what we are doing. So capturing those things with some sticky notes for the notes we are using and the idea behind it. These are like some best practices. And in the templates, you can actually see how people kind of like documented their things and how you feel it helped you to pick it up and grasp. And you can actually implement those things when you are preparing the workflows by yourself. So they actually provide learn how to build this, and the version, n8n version, how it works, like connects to two MCP servers. Trigger, it has a URL that you provide to the client. Once we get into the template, I will show you again. So basically, they are clearly explaining what is this template for, who is it for, how to set it up, and any other templates they have. You can kind of use for free and import it. And when you are importing, if the workflow uses some credentials, this actually asks you to set them up. Currently, I already have this OpenAI, like n8n has 100 credits, free credits. So it's already connected. I don't want to connect another one. Google Calendar, I do have my own thing. So you just basically provide the credentials, continue. And now if you see, this is actually downloaded into personal space. One more tip I wanted to say is this personal folder, if you go into this and open it, you are not able to edit this. That is fine. But I actually tend to move this to Microsoft Teams. This is the project, the root project I created when I kind of registered in n8n. And here, basically, I kind of when I select the OpenAI, this one is editable. This, I'm using the n8n 100 credits that are free with this installation, registration. All right. So that's how you import the templates. Now I'm going to actually show you one template that I already kind of worked on, which also uses MCP client and server node. So yeah, is it okay, the fonts and everything? Or all right. This is an AI agent, and we are taking the chat input. Basically, this is the chat input. I mean, in n8n we have a way of sending input, like in chat gpt you type something, but in n8n you can also use this, like they have this chat window. When we use this, when chat message received node, this node actually takes the input from here, and the output of this is connected to the AI agent, this AI agent. And we are using expressions here for the prompt user message. This is a JavaScript expression. It just like whatever you send in the input, it takes it here. And this agent, like it's connected to OpenAI chat model, simple memory, nothing very complicated. Instead of a tool connecting a tool directly, today I'm connecting it to MCP client. This is a node. n8n provides this client node. Sorry. This MCP client node, which basically has this endpoint. This endpoint is the server address for the MCP server. And we are keeping everything simple, no authentication, and we are including all the tools that are wired up to the server client. Just using this MCP client connected to the tools of this AI agent. And now I have another node called server trigger node. So again, this is a node that n8n provides, and this node, it actually exposes, like it can connect to all the n8n tools to this endpoint. If you click on this, it has test URL and production URL. So test URL is like you are not exposing this to the production. I mean, internally, locally, you want to test, you can just use the URL. This is provided by n8n. You just use this. And in fact, I have used this for the client here. This, I provided it here. That is the only setup you need to do with client and server. And now this client, oops, server is connected to almost like 6 plus 4, 10 tools. All are Gmail or Google Calendar and Google Sheets, but I'm kind of like separating them in the sense I have Google Sheets in two group together as CRM nodes, basically for customer relationships. Uh, this might look like simple examples, but they are super powerful, demonstrating that it can be any database tool as well. Like if you have some data in some database, you can query them, update the data, or like you can even insert data. So here we're using Google Sheets for because personally, like I can use my own Google related credentials. It's easy for me to test them out. If you are in a company and you have access to some databases or some Airtable or something like that, if you have credentials, you could give them a try. But for our sessions, I'm using the personal things because for me, setting them up is easy, like the credentials I can provide. And even if you are like learning these at your own end, trying out at your personal level, like using your personal credentials, I think it will be much safer because they are like testing level, right? You don't want to take high risk doing something in production or something like that, or mess up some data. So this is a safe way to just test it out in your own Google Sheets, emails, or calendar. So the tools, the Google Sheets, I have three different tools. Again, the tools you can add using this plus, and you can search. Like if I search for Sheets, you have this Google Sheets. You just like if you want to create a spreadsheet, it has multiple options. You can take different actions. Here I have used add new row. Basically, like you can update a row in a sheet or get rows in sheet, delete rows. There are tons of actions you can do in a Google Sheet. Now, I have used three of them here, like add new row or find a row in a sheet, update a row in a sheet. The sheet I'm using is this one, where I'm kind of having some data in here, some test data that I just populated. and I also have another sheet. So I'm trying to access this in my workflow. All right. So with these node operations, your AI agent will be able to do the following: add a new row, find a row, update a row. And I'm also providing some examples, like you can provide a new contact data with some placeholders, and some examples how to execute this one. Now I just want to demonstrate, like I already connected this. If you open these nodes, you can actually make sure that your account is connected. Sometimes you might have to reconnect because the token expired or something. So when the credentials don't work, make sure you refresh the tokens, and you just check, like this one is adding new row in a sheet. So basically the resource I'm using is a sheet within a document. I'm appending a row, and from list, like I showed, I have used this contacts spreadsheet. And also in the contact spreadsheet, I have multiple sheets, like you see subscribers, test, and activity log. So I have used like test sheet from this list. Actually, when it is connected properly, you also have to make sure that N8N has access to all these resources, like you are connecting to Google Sheets. Now there are some things that it will ask, like you to give permissions. You need to make sure that you have set the permissions so that it can uh, connect to that data sheet and do these operations. Like if I want to update, if you do not give permissions, it will fail. And because I gave all the permissions, I could access this spreadsheet, and it is also showing me what all sheets are there within that document. I selected that. And if you see, I'm actually mapping the columns of the spreadsheet by using the model itself. I'm letting the model define automatically, like mapping. If I'm sending something, the model will actually figure it out if the data is for company or full name. Like I have these columns here. I can manually map each of these columns in the node itself. Like I can do that manually, but I kind of used it, like used AI for defining it by itself. I'm leveraging that capability. So for each of these rows, I mapped it. So when you are setting up any node, you need to basically check if the values that you're trying to set up properly. If not, the nodes fail. And actually when the node fails, it gives you an error message, which is kind of easy to understand, but you can also ask the AI assistant within N8N as well. So let me just, before I walk into other tools, I want to just demonstrate this Google Sheets tool. Now, one of these examples, let me execute it. Saying add new contact with this. I'll just in the chat, I'm going to provide that. First name, I would say, okay, Deepthi as first name, Goel as second name, sorry, last name, and cell phone number, company as Kaleido. Oops, this one should be here. Kaleido as company. This is a natural conversation I'm having. I'm not like structuring it in a machine. I mean, in a JSON or anything like that. It's a natural conversation. And before I send it, I need to execute the workflow so that it starts taking it. Let me click on this. Now, if you see, you will see that it is waiting for you to create an event here. Now, let me send this. Okay, it's saying there is a problem with personal assistant. Now, what is it? Click on it. It's saying on the output, received tool input did not match expected schema. Okay, add new contact. Let me just check what I messed up with this. Yeah,
I think the contact is typed twice, right?
yeah, I think I just like did not uh, clean it up properly. Um, yeah, let me just say this one is Kaleido. First name, even this thing is not right. It copied twice. Add a new contact. And cell name. Okay, this, I think it just got twice. Does it make sense? New contact data with Deepthi as first name, Goel as last name, Sal is this, and Kaleido as company. Okay, let me execute. Send this. It's executing it. It executed successfully. And yeah, it executed all of this. Let me go to my spreadsheet. If you can see, this, you can see this got added, Deepthi Goel and this one, number. So it did add that one, so it executed. So you've seen like if some error happens, it gives a proper message. You can kind of, I mean, it was easy for me to figure it out, and I actually messed up with some entering data. And if you actually look into the execution, um, it called the OpenAI chat model, used the memory, and then it called the server. It called add new tool. If you see, I have 3 tools connected to, I mean, I have 10 tools connected, but I was asking to add row. It picked this tool. It did not pick any other tool. And I did not prompt anywhere pick this tool. This is the beauty of the MCP nodes, where they are kind of communicating with each other and doing the reasoning which tool to call, and they internally they executed this add new row. And I, after this agent, I have put some more logic where I'm kind of tracking some activities, like basically I'm trying to log the activity what I did. I have this activity log here, so it just says, it's kind of like what did I do, I'm just logging it. New contact added, added new contact for this. This is like another small agent where I'm summarizing and logging it. In future, if I want to see what did I do, I can have a look at it. So this is the workflow, a very simple workflow, but so powerful. And I just demonstrated one tool. Now let's look into another one. Can you tell me the details and email, or update the email? Let's update the email for Deepthi. Like, let's do that. If I actually check the sheet, I don't have uh, address for email address updated, and let me update it. So I'll just send the comment, this one. So I'll say, and in fact I made a mistake, I did not put Deepti, I put Deept. Okay, that's fine. And if I say this one, email to, so I have to execute the workflow, and then I'll send it. You will see that if something goes wrong, it will show in red, and you would know that something went wrong. In the previous execution, we saw that it was add row. Now it actually called update row, and it continued with the next agent. So let's see this execution again. If you see this execution, it picked up this tool. And nowhere did I explicitly mention to pick that particular tool. I just connected it to this MCP client, and this MCP client is just like it is connected to the server using this URL. This is the connection between this client and this server. So this is the URL, and this node is completely picking which tool to execute based on the user query. And now we have seen like it is reasoning itself which tool to execute and executed it. Let's move ahead with the next big thing. What is that? You can actually execute multiple tasks. I mean, it can sequentially execute multiple tools. We can do a couple of things. So just like this Google Sheets, I have nodes for email. I can find emails, draft an email, or send an email. Again, these are all N8N nodes. You can find them like Gmail. If you click on it, it will show you like what do you want to. These are all the options. Behind the scenes, these are all APIs. I mean, whatever you're doing, you're calling those APIs and doing that action. But it's so accessible that you don't have to worry too much, and it doesn't feel like it's too technical. I mean, if you know the parameters that you need to populate in each of these, like it is showing these details, and you just need to understand, like here I'm trying to delete. It's already populating these things. So simple. And I've already have these connected and credentials also sorted. So this one is like again ask like what are the 5 emails from John. Let me try. I will ask what are my last emails sent from, I will say from N8N. Let's say execute the workflow, and let me see. And you can see the execution how it is happening. It went to the client. It is checking, find emails. It says that there are no emails, or did it get some emails? Okay, it found some email, and it is showing that. And yeah, basically it's saying that it retrieved some, and let me see if it logged this. Received 5 emails from Manhattan, including meeting schedules, contact updates, and 2 security alerts from Google. Basically, I was trying to set up some permissions, and those 2 email security alerts. And that was the summary that the summarizing agent actually gave me. And the action it took was it basically reviewed them and it notified about this. So again, this is another example where it picked up like find emails. One tool we have seen. Now let's see sequential execution of multiple tools. If you check these examples here, um, find the contact, send an email saying your scheduled meeting for next Wednesday, draft an email, send the details of the discussion. Now, if you see this thing, it has several instructions. It says it's a conversation that, I mean, in our plain language, we can have a normal conversation, but it has several instructions. There is some reasoning to do here. So, contact for, let me say, Kiran. Uh, I'll say, I think I'll say Kaleido Club. Kaleido Club. And send an email saying that you're scheduled the meeting for next Wednesday. I'll say next Friday at 9. I'll say 3 p.m. Draft an email to remind her of the details and the topic. Now, I'm not explicitly saying too much. I'm just saying remind her of the details. Let's see what it does. So, execute workflow. And I'm going to send this one and see what it is doing. It's drafting an email. Okay. Make sure the last executed. And also I want to check my emails. I've got some draft. Yeah, it's saying Dear Deepthi. Okay, it actually picked up this name. I wanted to inform, is this 4:59? Yes, this is the email. I wanted to inform I have scheduled the meeting for next Friday. We have changed this. This is a reminder for our meeting scheduled. Topic of the discussion will be weekly update call and main company bottlenecks. I just asked it to just draft an email and if you go back to this instruction, find the contact for first and last and send an email. I actually gave a different contact for Kaleido Club, send an email. Now, I am curious why did it say Deepthi, but yeah, it should have actually, oh, okay, put this thing. All right. I think this is something to debug why it actually picked up this thing, but it was supposed to kind of like pick this record and draft an email. The email is drafted to the right person, but it actually addressed it as Dear Deepthi Goel. So that memory thing, I think I'll have to look into it, but I think you get the gist of this, right? Like it did find the details, did it? Let's see the execution again. It just drafted the email. It did not actually find the contact for this. It did not execute that. Do you see what is happening here? Send an email saying that you have scheduled. It drafted the email. Let's try it out again with a different example. Uh, Update the contact details for first instance. Okay, I'm going to try this one. The contact details for Matt Damon. Am I making sense? Is everyone following what's going on? If you have any questions, please feel to raise your hand or ask me. Matt Damon.
Kiran, I had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in those fields, right? So can we mention which are mandatory fields and which are optional? Like, because I see that you have to mention both first name and the last name, right?
Hmm.
So can you like tell the model that, these are optional fields, these are mandatory fields?
So that becomes a bit more customization. I mean, some things like easy to for the model to derive this information, but if you want to like make explicit kind of configuration, you will have to design it that way. It would need some maybe some kind of. See, if I don't give this first name, last name, and I'm saying like find it from here, it needs to understand, right? And in fact, let me just go into this node. There is this, if you see this node, there is a filter. It's saying column first name. I'm actually filtering on the first name. And I'm saying defined automatically by the model. Now I can actually hard code or maybe like give something like let me, if I say hard coded to Kiran Pendem, instead of passing it from my user message, I'm hard coding it here. And if you want to dynamically pass it, you can use some JavaScript, and basically you need to define some parameters like you can pass it, you can define. There is another node called set node. um, Set, basically this is you kind of like define something like maybe manually I'm saying fields to set, I'm saying first first name, and I'm just giving it as like Kiran, and add another field again like last name, I'll say Pendem. This one can be an expression. It is right now I'm just using a fixed and hard coded, but you can have an expression where you could just like use a JavaScript expression, but you need to kind of pull it from here. Right now, I mean, when I execute, I'll show you the variables again. Basically, you can do such kind of customization by using additional nodes or putting in some code logic. You also have another node called code node where you can write your small code and set the parameters like yeah, basically you can set these parameters. My new field, JSON dot my new field is, you will get this particular output. This is again like, are you comfortable with the coding? You want to experiment with it? you go next level. But for now, we are asking the AI model to derive it automatically. In here, like I'm going to use this define automatically by the model. And this is the filter I'm using, first name and last name. This is what I have set. And that's why when I'm providing this first name, last name, this is how it is filtering these column names, right? First name and last name.
Yeah,
So it is
got it.
filtering, like, yeah, you are kind of like mapping it here. Basically, how you define these nodes, how you're using model, and you can use coding if you want to customize it further. Right now, I'm just using the AI model to figure it out itself. And basically, I'm using first name and last name to filter out the content here.
Yeah,
That's why
got
it's
it.
checking. Yeah,
Thanks, Kiran.
cool.
Thanks.
No worries. Thanks for the question. And so update the contact details for Matt Damon since he changed his email and company to work vector, and let's say Matt at workplace.com, and also send him an email confirming the updates. There are two instructions here. I mean, if you see, it's not just updating the details in the spreadsheet, but also sending an email confirming the updates. Now, let's see if it is invoking this two tools. There is some error. What is it? Chat input. What's the output saying? Personal received tool input did not match. Okay, what did it not match? Helpful assistant. All right. I think the schema again, it's struggling to parse some of the details. I want to just modify it. Again, these things like fine tuning these things is in our hands. It's not like everything will just like work. I mean, um, there will be customization, and we need to evaluate if it is performing as expected or not, basically looking for these errors as well. I did not like completely test it out saying that okay, whatever input I give, is it processing? That's again like another aspect, like whether the whole workflow is working as expected. Thoroughly testing it is also important. And I just wanted to see if I can update, change this. Since I'm running these locally, I'm trying to execute it every time the workflow when I'm trying to. Okay, again, it's saying some problem, some schema problem. Mm. I did test it yesterday. This is, I don't know, like, last. it was working properly. That is Kiran Pendem. This one. Let's see. In fact, let me give it a refresh. If it is the memory that is messing it up, I want to stop the execution. Let's see. I refreshed the session. So basically, the memory is erased. Let's see if it behaves now. Maybe it collected a lot of context. Uh, okay. I want to check if I provided the URL properly. Okay. Saying problem running workflow. Please resolve. It's saying activate it. All right. That's fine. I will make this an problem activating. Demo gods. Okay, that's okay. Let me try again. Could not connect to the server. Why is it? I want to see if the server is okay. It's not connecting to the server. We are like live debugging here. Like, what's happening? For some reason, this is stop listening. Let me say production URL. I'm going to copy this URL again and go to the client, update the URL here. I'm using the production URL. Make it okay, that's fine. It is saved. Uh, it's not connecting to the server. I want to refresh this. I don't know why it is not connecting. Basically, the client server connection should work. Let me just restart it. This is a different one. This is. I actually created two different email addresses And if you see, this is a different one. Please bear with me. The server, for some reason, it's giving me problems.
Kiran, it is totally fine because this helps us understand how to debug as well. So, and it happens whenever we do the actual demo. Sometimes it just happens. So it's totally fine. No worries.
Yeah, basically, this account is a different one. It automatically logged into a different account. Otherwise, I could have shown that. But basically, the client and the server, it is just the URL thing, and the connection. If the connection is all right, you should be able to. Yeah, check it out. This is a different one which I need to test it at my end before I experiment. But the other one, I tested it yesterday. I need to check why it is kind of causing the connection problems. But I'm sure you would be good to start with a template. Maybe I'll share the template that I have used, and you can download that template at your end and give it a go. So debugging, you will come across these issues like you are either executing, there are two buttons, like you are executing the whole workflow, or you are actually executing, like there is execution here as well, like execute workflow. This is like one time execution, but this can actually, like when it is multiple tools are involved, you need to execute this one instead of this one, because if you are trying to execute this here and send a message, one tool get executed and the next tool will not get called, because it takes like that execution takes only one call at a time. So that is another tip for you if you are trying to see some difference in this execute workflow and this execute workflow. And sometimes the memory, again, the memory management, we are manually doing it. It's not like by default N8N provides strong memory management. So when you are like context is building, if in the simple memory you're using like 5 conversations, if something is messed up, like try out with refreshing this thing, so that the data is like picking up from the latest one. um, yeah, so those are the tips I have, and I would like you to try out this one of these templates with MCP. And next session, let me know how it goes. If you have actually come across some problems, maybe if I figure out like what happened in my case, I will share that as well. But debugging also we have covered today. Um, and I think that is it for today's session. We have like past 5, it's like, yeah, more than an hour. I hope this was useful to get started with MCP today. Any
Yeah.
questions?
I think this is great, Kiran. This is wonderful because we are learning a lot. I'm sure not only me, most of them who are joining the session are learning a lot. And I see a lot of people coming back each week, same repeated people. So, which means that they're actually trying out and then here to learn. So, this is good. So, we next week we are having session on Tuesday, not Wednesday. I have shared the details for the link in the chat already, the event link. So make sure you register for that and then mark your calendars for Tuesday, not Wednesday. We will share the recording, and once Kiran is able to debug, we'll share all those details as well. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining. Have a great, wonderful day.
Thank you so much and see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.